Hello, PPs. Welcome back to Staying Up. Today, we talk election aftermath and we talk about a crazy study I found about lesbians.
Spooky.
Is
it good or bad?
It's bad.
Oh, no.
I know.
Hello and welcome to Staying Up with Cami and Taryn. I'm Cami.
And I'm Taryn, and every night we get to have a sleepover because we're married and we love each other. But every week, we invite you to join us in on this little freaking sleepover.
Thanks for staying.
Let's start with the obvious. Stock
Been a
market
spooky week.
soaring.
Oh my god, the obvious.
Trump 2020.
Shut
Just
fuck
kidding. I'm not joking about the stock market. But
Yeah, that happens often.
that's not about him.
No.
Dare I say, I don't think that that's fully about him. I think it's a new leaf
It's almost
situation.
always when elections happen. The lady I have my Roth IRA thing with,
Why do you have it with a lady? What do you mean?
she like runs it. It's like Morgan Stanley.
Okay.
But my point person's a lady. It's just like a lady I found down the street, our neighbor.
Oh, maybe we should
It's
be
Kathy.
talking about that.
No, my point person at Morgan Stanley, in like the summertime, I normally invest the max amount at the end of the year because the more you invest in your Roth IRA,
Yeah.
the bigger tax break you get.
Yes.
And she was like, hey, it might be smart to invest early this year if you can, because typically during elections, stocks go crazy high up. So if you're able to in like August or September, you'll probably see high rewards around the election.
Right.
And I was like, that sounds great. I have no money to give you.
It is that. If you look at your wealth front or
Yeah. Robinhood.
Robinhood, my shit's popping.
Popping.
But it do be doing that. Not to be surprised. It's just nice to
I
see.
don't look at it. I was talking to my dad on the phone too. I didn't
Yeah.
know he had investments, and he was like, we were both just like bitching and moaning about the election results.
Yeah.
And he was like, plus side, I earned whatever in this stock. And I was like, oh my God, that's great. And I was like, I don't look because I have no control. It's so volatile, especially the ones that are like my retirement. I'm not looking at that for another 50 years or whatever.
Retirement's kind of silly to look at.
Yeah, I'm like
this
I don't need to know that.
Yeah.
I don't need to know that.
I think it's useful if it's like your, just like, I don't know, bonds and stuff like that, or your individual stocks, because you can change it.
None of the things I have, I change. Like I have like
You're like in
two
Robinhood, aren't you?
but just like the one I got for signing up was like Visa, which is great, but that's the only one that's down. And then I literally got a free one stock in Visa, and then I bought a few in Beyond Meat just because I thought it'd be fun to follow.
Okay.
But like I see my Robinhood as like a game.
It's a fun game
on my phone. Like I don't have any meaningful money in Robinhood, and then I have it in Wealthfront, but they do that. Like you select your risk assessment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I don't
That's
know
okay.
what's doing.
I've had some big winners on
That's
Robinhood
great.
at least, which is like, I've also had some big losses, folks.
You
I
should do
shan't be trusted.
a segment either on our pod or on the Instagram or for Patreon or your TikTok somewhere where you like share simple investments for people. Because I feel like a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
And that in our economy, you have to be investing or you're losing money.
Yeah.
And
Cash is bad, folks.
Cash is bad. Cash is not king.
Cash
Contrary to popular
Cash
belief.
ain't king, which is weird because when I have physical cash,
Yeah.
I'm like, ha ha ha.
Feel
I like
amazing.
love the feeling of cash.
I saw somebody on TikTok posted like everyone is saying like Trump's gonna make the economy great. He's like, okay, can you give me a country that's thriving that has similar Trump policies? And everyone's listing all of these countries that are not doing well, and then the
Crazy.
one that they listed that is doing well, I believe, is Denmark, that has like they're almost like a socialist society. He's like, this is not at all Trump policies. But one of the countries, people from that country were commenting, I forget if it was like Argentina or something, but they were like, literally our dollar, I forget what country it was, I don't know what it's called, is so low that you can't even buy real estate with it because they just don't, it's too fickle and it's not worth anything.
Well,
So all of them were like some of the worst economies ever. And they're like, wait, what?
I mean,
why are we
may that
basing
not
it
be
off
our
of this?
situation.
Yeah.
Look, let's not spend the whole episode here talking election aftermath, but we can share a couple feelings that we're feeling. Do you want to share anything you're feeling?
God, I've like officially had to stop doom scrolling.
That's totally fair.
But I do want to stay up on things and educated. I feel like a lot of times we get really hyped around a presidential election.
Yeah.
And then everyone forgets what we're fighting for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's healthy. But because it's been so intense, I've had to take a little bit of a break. What I did notice, I went to an event last night. And
sorry if you can hear our washing machine. It's
it's about to take off. I don't
taking
think
off
that
into
they
space.
can, but maybe. That thing is loud. Please don't fail us.
Dude, we literally don't have any money. It's all in Robin Hood.
I went to this event last night, and normally when I go to an event in LA and it's like mainly women, I feel like I can assume that everyone's like pretty liberal.
Yeah.
If not liberal, like at least accepting
A vibe.
Yeah, I'm like
Of some
probably
sort.
not racist, probably not homophobic. And I was anxious yesterday, so I already went into the event like not ready to socialize. But I got there and I realized I was like, I don't know who to feel safe with here. And this feels really overwhelming. Like I just don't really know
That sucks.
how to navigate this. And then luckily my friend was like helping to host the event because Tasha Franken is like a Pilates instructor. She's amazing. Look her up on her app. But I talked to her, and then one of her friends that she models with was there, and she brought up the election. And it's so weird. Normally I'm very quick to be like, share my political beliefs, but I kind of tiptoed around it until she was like, brought up abortion, was like, women are dying. What the fuck are we doing?
Okay, and then
I was
you're
like,
like,
oh, thank God.
Got you.
And then I was like, I think I love this girl, and then realized that she's a Pisces, and we vibed. And then I was like, okay, these are my people for the night. And then IVF came up, and I was talking about us, and the whole side of the table was like so interested and was like, oh my gosh, yeah, are you and your wife doing this? What's happening? So I was like, okay,
Cute.
I can relax because this is safe. Yeah.
This is the first time you were like, whoa.
Yeah.
How do I know?
Spooked. And I don't really get
mean,
that in LA either.
LA went way more red than it ever has. Like, I think 10 points or 9 points or something. Maybe.
There was a Trump
I don't even know
parade
what that
we
means,
saw
but
in
it feels like a
Pasadena
lot.
this weekend. And then I saw videos of it going through WeHo. And all the comments were like, this feels threatening.
Yeah.
Going through the gay neighborhood with
Yeah.
Trump flags, beeping, freaking out. It just felt spooky. I'm also like, it's over. The election's over. This is not a sporting event. We're not the Dodgers who need to have a fucking parade down Sunset Boulevard to celebrate. What are we doing?
It does feel very weird. And I don't think that I would be wearing, if Kamala did win, I don't know that I'd be like wearing the merch.
No, I wouldn't.
Long after the thing was done.
Hang a flag. I'd be like, all right, let's go. Now we can focus on like what we disagree with her and like arguing what we want to happen and make sure she's doing what she promised to do or changing her mind on things that she didn't.
The worst bit is that the Trumpies, like kooky MAGA Trumpies, have known that the red hats are triggering. I don't think they care, but now they've moved to like neutral colored hats, and it's upsetting to me. I liked when they had the red ones because
they're
it was
so
like,
ugly. I'm like, you can't even dress yourself.
Well, it's like you see it from a mile away. You're like, that's a MAGA hat.
But
honestly, now I'm like, oh, your baby's cute, and then I look up and I'm like,
yeah,
it's like some cool black hat.
I don't mind it because the red was just like so in your face. I felt like you were shouting at me that you're a Trump supporter. I'd rather be. I'm also like, why do you need that?
That's my thing. Don't make it look normal.
Yeah, to me, it's weird. I'm like, why are you so obsessed with him?
I know.
It's so like, are you okay? But
you know, one thing that he always does, I've been taking in a lot of Trump content.
Yeah.
Because my way of coping is to learn as much as possible
about the other side.
I don't know what that is about me, but I'm smart. Like, I'm trying to find the, like, maybe it's not as scary as I think it is.
Yeah.
Which in ways I have found that, and in many more ways I have found that it is still what I thought. But there are ways that I've been like, okay, I can relax a small amount, and that feels nice. But taking in so much Trump content, the way that he talks about kids is so gross to me. Like, he will be like,
so gross.
Oh, bring your beautiful boy in the picture. Oh, come on. He's so beautiful.
He's
I'm
so
like,
obsessed with like
beauty?
Aesthetics of people.
100%.
Like he always has to lead first of like beautiful, hot, sexy. Like
he's always talking about looks.
And it just like, oh, he reminds me of, is it Jabba the Hutt? Who's the one that like
Pizza the Hut?
No, who enslaves Princess Leia?
I think it's Jabba.
That like fat,
big,
sweaty.
Yeah. That like role of a person.
He reminds me of Jabba the Hutt.
That's totally fair, and I don't think
name?
anyone. Yeah, there's Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Spaceballs, which is Pizza the Hut. That's not a joke. You know the movie Spaceballs?
No.
You ever seen the movie Spaceballs?
I don't think so.
It's like it's a parody of Star Wars. And instead of Jabba the Hutt, it's Pizza the Hut.
Oh my god.
And he's like a big piece of pizza. And
I
he's
love
like,
that.
Bubbling.
I think I would like that.
We should watch it.
Okay.
I think a lot of PPs have asked us this week how we're coping and wanting to check in on us. Lots of you are not from the US and you feel for
Lucky.
the Americans. And one thing that has given me peace this election is that I listened to an episode of a podcast called Plain English, and they talk about like why Trump won. And one of the things that is a trend in the world right now is that people in many countries are voting out the incumbent. And there are many like reasons as for why, but two that really stuck out to me are like they're saying that this could just be lagging COVID effects. So like a lot of more left-leaning or democratic people were in power during COVID, and a lot of shit happened during COVID, and so this is like
scapegoat.
This is just people still being like, I need to change, which that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
like COVID was crazy. We've never experienced anything like that. We hopefully won't again.
Yeah,
and I can imagine people just being like, that was nuts and we need something different. So that made me feel better that that's like a trend happening like around the world.
Yeah,
I guess
it's a natural trend oftentimes that like
Totally.
one party doesn't typically hold the office for too long.
100%.
So it's
that
not
made
crazy.
me feel better. They also linked it to like doom scrolling and how like people now are so plugged in that we all have such a negativity bias that like those two things combined, you're really likely to just be mad at whoever is in power at any point of time. So you'll always vote out whoever's in power.
Yeah, it's the only way you can blame stuff. Like even once you understand how our government works and like how long tax plans stay intact until a certain amount of time. Like we were under Obama's tax plan for so much longer into Trump's first presidency. Like, but it's really hard to be like, what is the exact cause of who? And things take long to have an impact. Yes, things might be put into policy, but it could take 10 years for something to really show the impact. Yeah. So we're it really boiled down to like, what are the price of eggs right now?
Yep.
And who is president? It's their fault.
Totally.
Which is just like not really how our economy works, but
that's kind of the second thing that I took away, which is just that like people feel chaos, and when you feel lost in chaos, you do something different. It's like the whole saying of like, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you'll get the same result. That's what crazy people do, quote unquote. Insanity. Yeah. And
crazy people.
Whatever.
That's what crazy people do.
That sounds like Trump.
Just saying completely incorrect things, but like we kind of know what you're saying. That's what crazy
Insanity's doing the same thing. Whatever. Everyone knows what I was talking about.
Expecting different results.
Yes.
Yeah. We're with you.
And because it has just been such a crazy, there's so much chaos specifically in like every area of government and every area that like they were running on.
Everyone just wants to switch it up.
People saw that Kamala was too close to Biden.
Yeah.
And
Didn't feel like it was enough of a change.
Didn't feel it was Biden 2.0.
Yeah.
And so people are like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
And they don't know her personally. And like, I think we're all sad because we're all like, well, fuck, this is a attack on my rights. And this isn't like real feelings that we're all feeling. But I think for majority of Americans that voted for Trump, it has had nothing to do with that. And I think that's hard because you're like, well, how could it not have anything to do with that? That's my rights. And it's like, they're worried about their kids going to school. That's more important to them.
We all have a different lens that we're looking at things through.
Totally.
Which is frustrating because you're like, but have empathy for people in situations not like your own. Yeah. But also, we need to do the same where there could be middle of America family who's never met a trans person. So whenever they see people talking about trans rights, this or that, they can't even wrap their head around it.
Right.
They've never even met a gay person. So they're just not understanding it. And maybe any minority group person that they do know in their life is having the exact same struggles as them and possibly also voting for Trump.
Totally.
So their only lens they have is, can I provide for my family? And then also on the other side, we get infuriated because we're like, but how is this person helping that? But to them, they believe that it is.
Right.
And like, I know that might all sound crazy to us and maybe some people listening, but hearing that and wrapping my brain around that has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking like over half of our country is like bigot, racist, homophobic.
Totally.
Sexist, like horrible, misogynistic people.
Yeah.
Being able to see it through that lens of like, okay, maybe you don't give a fuck about me and you're not worried about my rights and that's scary, but you're not doing it with malice. But the people who are just the loudest. That's the hard thing.
But there are those people on both sides. Yeah. And that's what's hard is like a lot of the right is being like, feels like they're saying, well, the left is acting like you guys are there for the little people and that's your whole identity and yada yada yada. They're like the whole identity politics thing. And they're like, but if you don't win elections, you can't save those people. You can't help those people anyway. So
we need to like focus on bigger things.
Yeah,
we need to find the middle ground road people. Elections are always nearly 50-50 split. Like even the max difference in points, it's like 46% is the lowest people go. It's so close that we're not looking at those extreme people. They're never going to change. But at some point, we have lost the middle of the group who flip-flops. And that's what we need to pick back up if we're ever going to be able to help anybody out.
Totally.
So, yeah, I think this is a big wake-up call, and it's like mobilizing people to get it together.
And I think it's like important for people's sanity to try to hope and focus on the fact that that half of the country, not half of the country doesn't hate you. Maybe some of them do.
Some of them do.
Yeah.
But we have to
Definitely
still believe in our heart it's
do.
not half.
But it's not
everyone who voted for him.
Yeah.
Hates or even just like doesn't care about our rights.
Yeah.
I have to have that optimism or it's so dark.
Totally.
To think anything different.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think when we're like trying to have kids and stuff, I'm like, we've been talking about how we want to take in more content that is popular with young boys because young boys are like the most struggling demographic in the world right now. It's like they're completely
and falling victim to the Andrew Tates of the world. He has 10 million followers on Twitter. It's so scary to me.
And he's so vile.
Yeah.
So I've been like,
how do we fix that?
Listening to like Joe Rogan because I'm like, Joe Rogan's the #1 podcast in the world. What does everyone like about Joe Rogan? Like, I can't just sit there and be like, Joe Rogan fucking sucks. And I've never listened to a podcast of his. That feels weird to me.
Even if you 100% do think he sucks, it's powerful to see that. Like, we are going to have a teenage boy one day. Yeah. And we're not going to be able to protect everything media he consumes, what he hears at school, what his friends like. So we have to understand these things to empower them to be better than the hate rhetoric that a lot of these conservative podcasters spread. Yeah. There's obviously some likable factor. There's obviously some truth to what they say to be able to garner this much respect and attention.
Totally.
So it's like we have to get it.
And I'll spend an episode being like, you sound like a fucking wackadoodle. And then his next point, I'm like, I agree with that.
he just went on this big rant like a day ago about abortion rights. And everyone's like, Joey Joe, where the fuck
like
was
in favor of women and being
he was like, it is crazy that we're doing this to women, and everyone wants to leave it up to the states, but then the states are not letting people leave to other stuff. Like, he was so passionate.
I know.
Protecting abortion. And I was like, what is
Mr. Rogie going Rogie?
I was like deeply agreeing with Joe Rogan.
And I'm like, hell yeah. That like these little fuckers that listen to him are hearing this.
Yes.
Because based on what everyone in the world everyone on the left says about Joe, I imagine that that something like that would never come out of his mouth. So it's so nice to see that.
Yeah.
I have not made up my mind about this person in any way, and I'm not trying to fall in love with him at all. But I am loving the opportunity to like take in content that I don't take in.
Yeah.
And like actually think about what I like and don't like about it. That's been really refreshing, because everyone talks about being in your little bowl or whatever. What is it called? Echo chamber.
Bubble.
Bowl. Fish bowl. Blah,
Whatever.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. It's just, it is important. And it's like, if I learned anything in college that I still use today and have like kind of let go these past few months, is how important it is to understand your opponent in whatever it is. You have to understand ahead of time. That way, like, if you are going to argue something, if you already know someone's points and you disagree with them, use it, bring it up first, acknowledge it. So I think we're too focused on like reiterating our own beliefs and opinions and points, but that's not getting through to anyone. It's not whoever can say their opinion the loudest. You have to understand someone so that you can go, hey, I get it. You're worried about X, Y, and Z. Let me explain something. That's why I was so heavily researching trans statistics, especially the whole trans women in sports. Yeah. Because people love bringing that up like it's this huge problem. Yeah. I looked it up, and there are only 40 trans athletes playing right now. I think it was in high school. They don't have the exact numbers. It's hard to know for sure.
I think it's the one I saw was 40 NCAA. And then Taryn and I were watching this like a stupid show called Tracker, and he finds like missing people. And I was thinking, I've never met a family. I've never known anyone personally that has a kid that's gone missing. That has been like reported missing to the police. Even if just like for a minute and they like report it or whatever and they find them. Yeah. I don't know anyone who has ever had that issue happen. So I was like, oh, I wonder how many people. And I forget the number, but it was like many, many millions. It was like 20 million. No, it was 800,000. Was it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. 800,000 a year. And I've never even heard of any kid going missing other than like on TV and on TikTok. On Tracker. Yeah. So I'm like, wow, this 40 athletes in the NCAA or whatever it is compared to 800,000 in the US alone that go missing. Watching that number and realizing like how low 40 is, no one. In the millions of people, like how many millions of people are in the United States? Like 300 million or something crazy. That sounds right. I don't know if that's right. Fact check me on that. But 40 people. It's insane. I'm sorry, but the kids at the school next to our house, there's more than 40 on the playground at any given moment. Oh, there's hundreds. Yeah, I'm like, that is just, it's just such a small amount of people. You have 40 people in your immediate family. Like, it's the tiniest group of people. And then to think that the Trump campaign spent like $200 million on anti-trans commercials during his campaign. It infuriates me, dude. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but like insane. Somebody competing in a sport and feeling like butthurt that they got beat and wanting like a reason why someone was better than them. One, be better. Competition's great. It's amazing to have something to motivate you. Yeah. But that is just so not on par to me with whenever you don't let these trans kids compete, and then you have all these kids in school bullying them, and then they could go and hurt themselves. Yeah. I'm just like, what are we comparing here? These are just not even on the same playing field. Literally. Yeah. How are we comparing sports to life? And then I'm like, it's so frustrating. Since when do y'all care about women's sports? That's what really pisses me off. I'm like, oh, now we care. I like that argument of yours. Now we care. Yeah. We don't care if they get paid.
We don't care if they're taking care. We don't care about anything else. But all of a sudden, it is like the most important thing in the world to us that women's sports is fair. I'm like, oh, get out of here. Like that really upsets me.
That's a real. You should clip that. That's a good point.
Yeah, Clippy should clip that.
Clippy should clip that.
Anyways, we talked way too long about politics. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. Well, do we just hop into my sad thing?
Yeah, I think let's just hop into
Okay,
your
this is gonna be a little darker of an episode. Sorry, everyone.
We did light and silly last week, and now you're getting intense and heavy.
You're getting just real life shit.
Yeah, that's all right.
Cam and I have just been talking about how much of our life, the last 5 months, 6 months, have been consumed with too adult of shit. Mm-hmm. It's like the house and mostly fertility, and how just like it's so expensive. We're so exhausted. Yeah. You're so sick of repeating the same thing to everyone in your life.
That's all we talk about.
Everyone asking for updates about
Body's
everything.
Hurting. Everything.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And someone asked me on Tuesday, what am I most afraid of in my marriage? Like, what scares me the most in my marriage? And it just reminded me of this time where I was just like, another piece of why I'm so anxious is because I'm so scared of like stress, meaning that we'll grow apart. Like, it really freaks me out because I've seen it. Like, there are like, a couple days where I'll be like, we haven't connected at all. Like, we've been operating next to each other.
We're both in like survival mode.
Yeah.
Next to each other and being like, I'm like this close to snapping.
Yeah.
And you are too. And we can't help each other. We are like, literally, we are just trying to keep our head above water.
And it just feels like, I hate feeling like we're like coworkers, like we're like trying. Why I say coworkers instead of like roommates is because we're still working together.
We're
like
just completing tasks together.
Yeah.
We're not like having fun, relaxing, enjoying.
We're not like having fun.
But you know what I mean? Like, even when we've gone out to dinner recently, I feel like we're both just exhausted.
Yeah.
And over it. And just feeling overwhelmed. And then I also feel like, I'll speak for myself. In the back of my head is like, we're going to have kids. Life is going to be more hectic.
I know.
I just don't want this time to become the inevitable future forever.
Same.
And it doesn't need to be. It's just like, life throws shit at you and you can't control when it happens. But I feel like we had already taken on, like, we chose to take on a few big things knowing like, okay, it's going to be a tough time, but we got this.
Yeah.
And then got piled on with some additional stuff.
Yeah.
That it was like, wait, how do we do this all at the same time?
Yeah.
Like, how do we actually survive this right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my like, when I answered that question of like, I'm just scared of growing apart, it's like, that's what I mean, where it's like, you just forget to like have fun and enjoy your time together because you focus on everything else. Like, a friend of mine told me that
life just is becoming like a series of tasks.
Yeah. And when you have kids, you don't fight with each other anymore. You fight with your kids. Like it just, your focus changes. It's like, you're not fighting this person anymore. You're just doing stuff with this person for this thing.
Yeah. And
it's like, I don't know. What would you say is a fear, your biggest fear in our marriage, given like we're in the trenches right now? Not like it's bad, but like it's been heavier. It's been harder for us to navigate recently.
Yeah, definitely. What is my fear? I don't know, because I also think like, I think kind of how your health anxiety manifests, where like you'll kind of spiral and go doomsday with health. I think you can do that in other areas of life sometimes.
I'm a big spiraler.
Yeah. And for me, I feel like I'm a bit more naturally optimistic, where I very much so can compartmentalize that this is a freaking crazy time. Yeah. And it is what it is. And this is not life. Yeah. Like, I'm able to, the only time I'm like that, how it's like doomsday, everything's bad, it's always going to be this way, is on my period. Yeah. I'm like, I'm never going to be happy again. I'm never going to not have cramps again. Yeah. Like that gets me bad. But generally, when things aren't good, I'm like, I might not be able to see it yet, but I know that light at the end of the tunnel is going to come. I just need to keep going.
Yeah.
And I feel like for you, sometimes you're like, is this tunnel a dead end? Like,
yeah, maybe.
What is going to happen here? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And to be abundantly clear, I don't feel that way with our marriage or our relationship.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, but it gets you thinking where you're like,
yeah, I'm like,
I need to fix this now because this cannot become our reality. You know what I mean?
Everything is a symptom to me. Or like,
yeah.
I'm like the same way that I'll feel something in my leg and be like, what is this a symptom of? I feel like I do that in our relationship or in my life or in my work where I'm like, something happens, it must mean something bigger.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, we're having less fun together because life is very stressful.
Yeah.
What the fuck? And I can't just be like, oh, it's just because life is a little stressful right now.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, it's like I just want to make sure we're doing everything we can to not stay in those difficult times longer than we need. Because sometimes it's like once things start piling up, any little thing can feel bigger.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh God, I just don't want to even do anything. But there is time for stuff. Like,
yeah.
I feel like to build a routine of anything, productivity, happiness, having fun, whatever it is, like you sometimes do just have to schedule and force yourself to do things.
Yeah.
So like I would love if we picked like every Tuesday night without fail, we are going to go do something like out of the house, not just like watching TV.
Yeah.
We are going to go do something that's just for us. And,
yeah.
Like, that's our date night of like just checking in, and we're not allowed to talk about IVF and the house and eventually kids and all that, which can be hard. But maybe we say like, we have a 5-minute debrief. Yeah. Anything you need to talk about that's like task related, that's coworkers, get it out. After that, lovers only.
Not us being coworkers to lovers.
Yeah, I know, it's sexy.
Wait, before we get into like what we can do about it, can I share what I learned today?
Yeah, please.
Because
I'm just so scared.
It's whatever. So I heard about a study that they did in, I think, Sweden.
Yeah.
That tested how relationship satisfaction affects the likelihood of separation among lesbian and heterosexual couples
undergoing. Not Swedish, so this doesn't even apply to us.
It mirrors studies that have been done here. Undergoing assisted reproductive treatments.
Okay.
So they got like 600 couples together or they followed 600 couples that were undergoing IVF and mostly IVF.
Yeah.
And tested how happy they were before, and then like 10 years later, how happy they were.
Oh, I thought this was going to be during IVF itself.
No.
Because I'm like, yes, this is chaos.
It's their commonality is that they went through a hard reproductive thing, which is fertility issues.
Yeah. I'm sorry, did you say just lesbian couples or any couples?
Lesbians and heterosexual couples.
Okay, so anyone going through
gay men. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, gay men going through IVF is a very different experience. So
it said researchers used basically this questionnaire that like tests relationship satisfaction to measure relationship satisfaction at the start of the treatment, and tracked couples' relationship status over time. They compared separation rates based on satisfaction levels and other factors like parenthood and other demographics.
All of these couples did have babies out of IVF?
No.
Okay.
They underwent some sort of infertility treatment or fertility treatment.
Some it worked, some it didn't.
Yes.
Okay.
Findings. Lesbian couples had a significantly higher separation rate than heterosexual couples that received similar treatments. So that was the main thing that I thought was really interesting. And I wanted to like see if we could unpack what you think that was. Let me get the actual number for you because it blew my mind. Okay. Almost 40% of lesbian couples participating reported having separated, as opposed to 11 to 17% of heterosexual couples undergoing that treatment.
Okay, I have
double.
I have a thought to fully explain this.
Tell me.
So, heterosexual couples going through IVF are doing it because they've probably tried to have a baby on their own and they can't. So they like have already committed to that. They're having a baby and they're like probably farther along in like the commitment of their relationship. They've tried it. They've gone through it. They've already gone through not being able to have a baby on their own, which is emotionally tolling. And then they still decide to go through IVF.
Interesting.
Lesbians going through IVF, it is our first time trying to have a baby together.
Yeah.
So those numbers, the 40%, is much closer to the 50% of couples that end in divorce. I don't know what the number is in 10 years. I don't know if that's lower. But like that is pretty on par, I would guess, with just regular schmegular divorce.
Yep.
IVF or not. Because IVF for lesbians is just, we're just conceiving. This is just how we have to go through it. Where heterosexual couples, I feel like they've already gone through the big trauma of, okay, we can't have a baby alone. They've probably tried for multiple years ahead of time.
That's a really thoughtful,
you know what I mean?
reason.
Yeah. So then they're just like, oh, they're already in it. They're like the solid couples who haven't gotten divorced before going through IVF.
That's totally fair. I also read that, let me see if I can find it. The reasons behind this observation remain unclear, but various relationship dynamics, including heteronormativity and social stress, may play a role. Additionally, gender differences may contribute to these findings, as women are more likely than men to initiate divorce.
Oh, and there's two of us.
And there's two of us.
Wait, that makes sense because you also...
How crazy
I feel like
is that?
men are more comfortable coasting.
Yeah.
And if they're unhappy, they're more likely to have affairs.
Yes.
Where women, we're like, if we're not satisfied, we're like, let's fix this. Let's do something. And if you're not actively doing it with me, bye. Like we're like, we don't like to settle as much.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
What I also found was interesting is that there was no difference in the divorce rates or the findings if people had, if their
Success
success or not.
Wow. That's shocking.
It was
to
just
me.
that they went through it at all.
Wow. Because
Isn't
you
that
would
crazy?
think once you got through it,
Yep.
you'd be more likely to stay together. Because I also, and maybe it's hard to tell like what is actually the numbers and what is the negative side is louder to me, like jumping off the page. But I feel like I've heard so much about people getting divorces during IVF. But I'm like, maybe I hear about it twice in my life and they like are blaringly showing me like, oh, that's scary, that I'm just latching onto that stat.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting that there's no correlation to whether the IVF was successful.
And finally for you, I have the main factor for the separation.
Okay. Oh, so they did figure out.
They have a finding.
Okay.
Of why. I just wanted to see us noodle on it. But
yeah. Wait, what are you didn't share what your thoughts are. I shared my hypothesis on it, but what are your thoughts?
I don't know if I'd formed it before I saw this, so now it's hard to decouple it. You're going to be like, oh, this makes so much sense.
Okay.
It's not my groundbreaking.
Better than my idea?
Well, it's actually might not even matter. Okay. But the main factor for future separation was one partner's dissatisfaction at the start of the treatment, as measured by their like dissatisfaction rating. So dissatisfied partners were 3 times more likely to separate. Sorry.
Well, duh.
Yes.
It's like you should never be going through IVF if you're going into it not satisfied.
But I'm like, but knowing that, lesbians were still more likely to separate.
Does that mean the lesbians went in less satisfied?
I don't know that. But I do, the way I'm interpreting it.
It would have to, if that's what they're saying. If it was, you're more likely to have gotten divorced.
Yeah, then the lesbians were less satisfied going into it, I guess.
But it's like, what are y'all doing?
But
maybe lesbians are just more honest.
Okay, that's a theory. Lesbians are more honest. Or maybe hetero couples think that this is what marriage is. Vibes.
What do you mean?
Like, they don't even...
They're like, yeah, I'm satisfied. Like,
yes.
I'm just going to, like, I'm comfy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe it's that. Where we're like, we had to go against the world to be together.
We just expect more.
And if it's not what I want it to be, I'm not going to just have it.
Yeah, it's like, I don't go through all of this and like have people question my relationship and marriage and validity of it to like not be happy. That
this
makes
isn't
sense.
to say we're better than hetero couples. I'm just saying.
No.
I'm just
saying
that. It's interesting that we would be reporting higher levels of dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
But I love that this proves that like going through IVF and having a baby and whatever is not going to solve whatever bullshit you were going through beforehand.
Of course not.
Like
if anything, it's amplifying any
It
problem.
is so stressful.
Yeah. And it's like, especially, I don't think this has anything to do with these stats. I thought it was going to when you first were presenting it, but I think there's a lot of elements with IVF when there's two women. One, there's a bunch, you might be doing it in a ton of different ways, but when heterosexual couples are going into IVF, you know that the woman is going through everything physical. The guy doesn't have to do anything except donate sperm, which is enjoyable for him. Let's be real.
Vibes.
So he can give all of his energy to helping his wife.
Yeah.
Emotionally, mentally, physically. Like he can do all those things and step up and be in that role.
Yeah.
When there's two women, in our case, we're both going through it.
Yep.
And even when I had my call with the guides and I asked for advice and it was like, separate our experiences was so powerful.
Yeah.
And it wasn't always easy. Like we were both hurting, having different needs. Like, but keeping that in the back of my mind, I think many times was helpful. But then I think other couples where maybe just one of the women are going through fertility, there might be some guilt on the one side of like, I could do this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so glad we both ended up doing IVF because I feel like you're even going to just understand my pregnancy more, of like understanding that like you can't see that I'm hurting, but like everything is, this is not just like a period. This is icky in here. Like, I think you'll have even a better understanding there, where I could imagine if just I did all the IVF, I could be more resentful.
Totally.
You could feel bad.
Yeah.
I could be like, you should be stepping it up more because you're not having to do this, but you're also feeling stuff. Like,
and I could feel just like more disconnected to the process.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think it could add a lot of emotions that are very confusing feelings that are hard to talk about.
True.
Hard to be like, I'm feeling sad because I'm not carrying a baby. And it's like, well, fuck you. I'm going through this pain. Like, I could see when emotions and hormones are high, that causing animosity and just more stress.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
You're very smart. I'm not surprised by that. It sounded like I was when I said that, but I just
real fucking surprised.
No, I just like, I like listening to you talk about things, and I feel like you can find reason for things like fairly quickly, and I appreciate that in you. You're just like a good problem solver in that way.
I'm a good bullshitter. I feel like sometimes I'll be talking, people are like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. And I'm like, wait, I don't know this. I'm just guessing.
That's not bullshitting though. That's what I'm saying. You're not just saying random shit.
Yeah.
Like the things you are saying.
No, I'm using like common sense that I have to be like, this could be it.
Yeah. They're like likely theories.
Yeah.
Which.
But I feel like sometimes when I talk, people think I'm just like saying the answer. And I'm like, no, I'm just guessing here.
No, I think you say like it could be this, and then you'll say things. Like I feel like that's. But okay, to bring us into a place of hope and
wait, before we move on, I just remembered I had a conversation with this girl at the event last night. She's like interested in like how female relationships are, of like, do they just get you more, or do you not have the problems? And she was talking about wanting to get engaged and like her boyfriend's not there, and she was having those feelings of like, oh my God, the honeymoon phase is over. She's like, in girl relationships, do honeymoon phases just never end? And I was like, no, like that's just life. Like it doesn't stay, like you get to know someone. And she's like, it's just so sad that like I already know everything I'm going to know about him. And I was like, no, you won't. Like he's going to change and grow. And I came to this realization that because of like art and media and music is all about like the beginning excitement, we so discount and hype up the time in a relationship where it's just cozy. And it's like, it's kind of okay to be bored sometimes. It's okay to not be like excited by things. It's okay to just have your person that you can just feel so comfy being around, that like if you fart, it's silly. If you're like no makeup, whatever, any insecurity you have, you're kind of just like, whatever. Yeah. That's my guy.
It's the best.
Yeah. It was like, it's, I don't want you to be settling, but like, are you putting unnecessary pressure on your relationship that doesn't need to be there because you're just like realizing you're in the cozy phase and you're just thinking it should be like this hyped up thing forever? I'm like, it's going to ebb and flow. You don't need to be chasing the next high in a relationship.
Yeah, I think people just don't think of that phase of just like comfort as coziness, but if you did, I think you would be a lot more happy with that stage.
Yeah, it's like focus on comfy and content instead of like stagnant and boring.
Yes, like most people are just like, oh, this is the not honeymoon phase and not fighting. This is just like life stuff, and it's like it's actually really a pleasure to like have a person that you feel that way with.
Yeah, like life is going to be exciting enough and keep you on your toes. It's nice to have that person who's like a little comfort blanket to go through the chaos with.
You are my comfort blankie.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
All right, give me the hope, baby. Give me the hope.
So this leads me to, how do we raise our marriage satisfaction so that when stressful times come like this, we don't fall prey to the like
feeling negative about it. Yeah.
If women are more likely to like get divorced or to like incite
divorce. How do we beat those odds, baby?
We got to beat those odds. You know me, I'm not going to handle that.
No.
I don't like that. It makes me scared. So I looked up some ways some like research that kind of like data backed ways that can raise your marriage satisfaction.
Oh.
Couples, first, communication improvements. Couples who attend communication workshops or therapy often report a 20 to 30% increase in marital satisfaction, demonstrating the power of learning effective communication skills based on various marriage therapy studies.
I didn't even think about a workshop.
I think we should go to a workshop.
I want to go to a workshop.
Well, my aunt and uncle do that. Their little workshop.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Let's do it.
We should do that for the Patreon.
Yeah.
My aunt and uncle are like, they have the sweetest, they're like relationship coaches, and they teach like effective communication for relationships, and it's quite life-changing, honestly.
It really
I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think we can work on that.
Okay.
Should we be going to couples therapy, do you think?
Maybe.
Yeah, like we always like it when we go.
I just feel like if we do workshops, it might be, sometimes it's just too much to be so focused on like yourself and and like, well, how do we do this and this? Like going to a workshop, I feel like sets that pathway that like, it's like the building blocks that's in the back of your head that you're keeping in mind, instead of like, sometimes I do feel like couples therapy can be overkill when you're just like harping on the same stuff and like re-get you mad and not having different thoughts on how to handle it. Where like a workshop, I feel like giving you the tools and then talking about it together could be really beneficial.
Let's try it. Let's see what happens.
Workshop.
Second is gratitude exercises. Studies have shown that couples who express gratitude daily for their partner see a 15% increase in relationship satisfaction over a few months compared to those who don't have a regular gratitude practice.
I think even higher than 15.
No, it's
I cannot tell you how good I feel when you acknowledge like the day-to-day things I do. Same. Which I know it's silly because I'm like, oh, I'm always doing these things. Like, why are you going to thank me for doing the laundry? Like, you'd probably be like, what are you doing if I wasn't doing it? Because that's one of my roles.
I shook my head yes, but no, I wouldn't be like, what are you doing?
You're just like listening. But whenever I'm like feeling like I'm drowning in my work and like my chores, I feel like I can be like feel frustrated and I'm overwhelmed just in myself. And then I'm like, okay, if you're really busy and I see you not doing your tasks and I'm doing mine, I feel irritated. Yeah. And then as soon as you're like, oh babe, I know I've been slacking on it, like just drawing awareness to it, and you're like, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna take the trash out right now. I really appreciate that you did X, Y, and Z and you've been so on top of stuff and take care of the dogs. I'm like, couldn't care less about anything now. Okay, that it makes me feel so good.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Yeah.
I love when you say thanks for stuff.
Yeah.
Just like little stuff too. It's just like,
it's so little.
Holding a door, even. If you're like, thank you.
It just feels good.
You. Thanks for saying thanks.
Yeah. And it's just a nice way to not fall in. It's like that, I feel like, is that difference of like comfort and content, or cozy and content, and like whatever the negative terms that we were using, boring and whatever.
Yeah.
Lame and losery.
It's like
fucking
if
stupid
we
ass. If this was like first few months of us dating, first year of us dating, and you unload the dishwasher, of course I'm saying thank you. Because I'm trying to like set those patterns in your head of like, that is like, you know what I mean?
That's training,
I'm training her. And then it's like you fall into these things and then these nice things that we do for each other every single day become expectations.
Right.
So now instead of them being niceties, you're mad if they don't do it.
Right.
And it's like, that's amazing that you do that.
Yep.
That's amazing that you're busy all day and you still made time to go play with Ricky in the backyard. That's amazing that I'm here working and I'm stressed out about stuff, but I made sure that the bedding was done.
I love that. That's so cute.
What?
You using an example about yourself.
Well, I did both of us.
I know, but just I'm happy that you used one about yourself. That's cute that you're like, I'm amazing that I did that.
Yeah, I'm like, that's really great that I was
sweet.
Like, I want us to have a cozy bed. And you know what? Frank gets all his little hair in the center. And when the bed's really dirty, neither of us want to be in the middle. And then we're on opposite sides of the bed. And that makes me really sad.
Terrible.
So I'm going to go wash the bedding even though I don't want to so that we can cuddle tonight.
And I really appreciate when you do that.
But it's like that those just become things that we do instead of being like, that was fucking cute. I like you.
Well, that is fucking cute that you do that with the bed. And I really appreciate it. I like you a lot.
I love you, baby.
I think that what would be better for you in the morning or in the night when we're in bed? Should we do a little gratitude? I think we should start baking that in.
I like at night
when we first get into bed, we'll be like,
what happened that day.
Yeah. Let's be grateful
but I also like just like the call outs during the day, like the unprompted, unplanned.
Yeah.
Not to say that I don't think like a gratitude listing off a couple things in the morning or night isn't valuable, but it almost feels like, oh, are you just saying it because you're supposed to say them right now? It's like the acknowledgement in the moment feels better.
I'm not going to hoard gratitude and then expel it all in the evening. I know. But I do want to have a guys,
a little check-in.
Peepees. I very often like ask Cam to just look at me from like a certain amount of far away because like it's really close. If you're watching on video, it's
just like this. Yeah. Like not too close because then she can't see me because her eyesight's not the best. But like, yeah, just here.
Because I just love being seen by her from so close. And I love like looking at your eyes that close and all the things.
You're really good for asking for your needs. You'll even be like, tell me 3 things you like about me.
That's not a need. That's a want. Sure. Doesn't matter. But I just need more practices, I guess. So like, yes, I love the spontaneous thank yous, and I think we should also keep that up. But like, I would like for us to try, even if it's just every other night, to do like a little gratitude moment where we like look at each other, we're holding hands,
build that habit.
We do a little kiss or something, and then we share some things we like about each other. And say
I think even sharing that at night will make us be more aware of it during the day and talking about it.
So we have communication improvements, gratitude exercises, and 2 more things. Quality time impact. Couples who engage in new, exciting activities together experience a 40% increase in relationship satisfaction.
I have heard that.
That's a lot.
That's huge.
Novelty, baby.
Yeah.
So I do like the idea, maybe once a month we do something new.
It's like you just got to see your partner in a different light to like appreciate them.
Yeah.
It's like seeing all the same stuff, even like looking around the house. I don't know if I love all our decor because I'm so used to it, right? Because I only see it in the setting. But I bet if we brought like our TV console little area into a different house, I'd be like, wait, that's beautiful.
Yeah, like that table over there looks fucking cute right now. It
looks really cute in the light.
That Federer book.
Yeah, it looks great. But just like slightly mixing things up. It's like new context to see your great partner in.
Oh, your great partner. That's cute. Okay, so maybe once a month we'll say let's do a new thing because we're very creatures of habit, Cam and I. Yeah. We go to the same restaurants, we do the same shit, watch the same shows.
We love it.
And I love that about us. I love that we both love it.
That's not something I need to change.
No, I love that about me and I love that about you.
Yeah.
Because I love my life and I like my little restaurants.
In addition,
try new shit.
Something a little different.
Yeah. Yeah. And then last is conflict resolution programs. Research shows that couples trained in conflict management techniques are 25% less likely to divorce or separate within the first 5 years.
Okay, so we got to go to training and we have to go to workshops.
We're dogs.
Well, let's go.
Rough.
Rough. Ready to go.
Yes, we have our communication improvements to work on, which is, maybe we'll do a workshop like we spoke about.
Read a
Gratitude
book together.
exercise. We will do that. Quality time impact, or quality time by doing new things. Try something new once a month. Try something new. Shush. You hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
You're seeing me? And then
Catching when I'm laying down.
And then trying new conflict management
I love it.
techniques and learning about that.
I love it.
And then we'll be happy forever like we are now.
Yeah, forever, never, never. Love you.
Forever. Bark, bark, bark. Can I have a kiss?
Did you give an update on the podcast about your embryos? Should we end it on that note in case you didn't share with the PPs?
Yeah, Eggy update instead of a listener story. Eggy update is as such. Your girl had 27 follicles at the old beginning. Take it way back. When the retrieval happened, she had 17 eggies. An undisclosed number of like 11 to 15 fertilized.
This
or
part
matured.
got very confusing.
We were confused. He said some.
Let's say like
maybe.
11 fertilized.
Yes, 11 fertilized.
Well, almost all of them fertilized, but then like only just barely.
11 like made it.
Yeah.
And then 4 made it to the stage that none of mine made it to last time.
Full blasts, baby.
4 blast offs.
They're off at PGT testing.
And now it's really sweet to think that they're just like being tested in a little petri dish right now and being like, am I going to get picked?
I wonder if it's going to be me.
Yeah.
And they all have great gradings. They're like very good, healthy embryos.
Yeah.
So we just need to make sure that they are truly healthy and ready to go.
So if you want to give us good vibes, we should learn
within like a week.
Within the next week, and it should probably be middle of next week.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have updates for you guys either next pod or
if any of them are healthy and usable. Cams went from 8 to 4 in this last situation, and so starting with 4 is scary, but
we only need 1, baby.
But we only need 1.
Yeah,
we only need 1. And I hope we have more than 1. But even if we have 1, I'm gonna be really happy.
This process is just so crazy because like there's obviously a lot of planning. Like we've already said, like we'll do Taryn's embryos first and then mine. And for Taryn's, we're probably going to pick a boy. And for mine, we're going to pick a girl. But you could get all back that are all girls. And then we have to be like, okay, wait, what do we do here? Do we use the one boy that I have to try to have a boy? Do we just say, F it and try for a girl first?
You'd make a cute boy. You'd make a cute girl.
Make a boy?
Yeah.
Cute. Yeah, there's just so many variables. So it's like we have to plan, but then we also and talk about these and come up with what we want. But then we also can't overplan because we have no control.
To anyone else going through this, we see you. It's a lot. And someday it's so crazy that we'll all be like, there's gonna be like children running around and we'll be like, dude, you were made by so much
work, so much love, so much care and attention
into this. And now
here you are.
You're just like the rest of them. You're like out running around.
No one, you can't even tell looking at them.
Can't even tell
how much work it went into it.
That we were sitting here on our freaking podcast begging for one of these things to work.
All right, guys. We love you.
Love you,
we'll
peepees.
see you in a couple days because this episode was late.
Yep.
See you soon. Bye.